ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hmm. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, verse number 25. तद्विश्वानाभिं त्व अतिवर्तया विष्णोर् अनियस्य विराजेन आत्मना ऐक्य नमस्कृतं ब्रह्मविदम् उपैति कल्पयुषो यत् विबुधा ramante. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That Vishwanabhim, navel of the universal personality of Godhead, to but Ativartaya, crossing over Vishnu of Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Aniyasya, due to mystical perfection, Virajena, by the purified Atmana, by the living entity, Ekya, alone, Namaskrityam, worshipable Brahma Vidham, by those who are transcendentally situated, Upaitya reaches Kalpa Ayusha, a period of 4 billion solar years, yet that place Vibhu, the self-realized soul Raman, they do enjoy. Translation: this Shishumara is the pivot of turning of the complete universe, and it is called the navel of Vishnu, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. The yogi also goes beyond this circle of Shishumara and attains the planet Maharloka, where purified saints like Bhrigu enjoy a duration of life of 4.3 billion solar years. This planet is worshipable even for saints or transcendentally situated. Verse number 26. अतो अनन्तस्य मुखा नलिना दन्दया दन्दया आ, दन्धया अमनं यमानं स निरीक्षया विश्वं निर्यति सिद्धेश्वर युत्स्वा दिस्नयं यद्द्वै पराधार्यं तत्तु परमेष्ठयम्. Word to word meaning, Atho, Thereupon, Anantasya of the Ananta, the resting incarnation of God, and Mukha Anilena, by the fire emanating from his mouth, Dandaya Dandayamanam, burning to ashes, he Niriksaya. By seeing this, Viswam, the universe, Niriyati, goes out, Siddheswara Yustva. This Nayam, airplanes used by great purified souls, yet the place Paradhyam 15.4 trillion solar years, that you, the exalted Paramesthyam Satyaloka, where Brahma resides. Translation: at the time of final devastation of the complete universe, the end of the duration of Brahma's life. A flame of fire emanates from the mouth of Ananta, from the bottom of the universe. The yogi sees all the planets of the universe burning to ashes, and thus he leaves for Satyaloka by planes used by the great purified souls. The duration of life in Satyaloka is calculated to be 15.4 trillion years. So the purport is a little big. So I will try to share some points. Before that, I would like to offer my prayers. Om Ajnana
You can read out,
Timirantasya.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please read out the purport.
Okay, Prabhu. Purport. It is indicated herein that the residents of Maharloka, where the purified living entities or demigods possesses a duration of life calculated to be 4.3 billion solar years, have airships by which they reach Satyaloka, the topmost planet of the universe. In other words, the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us many clues about other planets far, far away from us, which modern planes and spacecraft cannot reach even by imaginary speeds. The statements of Srimad Bhagavatam are accepted by great acharyas like Siddheshwara Swami, Ramanujacharya, and Vallabhacharya. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically accepts Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Vedic authority, and as such, no sin can man can ignore the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam when it is spoken by the self-realized soul, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who follows in the footsteps of his great father Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of all Vedic literatures. In the creation of the Lord, there are many wonderful things we can see with our own eyes every day and night, but we are unable to reach them occupied by modern materialistic science. We should not therefore depend on the fragmentary authority of materialistic science for knowing things beyond the range of scientific purview. For a common man, both modern science and Vedic wisdom are simply to be accepted, because none of the statements either of modern science or of Vedic literature can be verified by him. The alternative for a common man is to believe either of them or both. The Vedic way of understanding, however, is more authentic, because it has been accepted by acharyas who are not only faithful and learned but also liberated souls without any flaws of conditioned souls. The modern scientists, however, are conditioned souls liable to so many errors and mistakes. Therefore, the safe side is to accept the authentic version of the Vedic literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which is accepted unanimously by great acharyas. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकथा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता श्रीराधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So we'll discuss today's verse, that is verse number 25 and 26. So here we can see in the translation, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned about what is the lifespan, what is the duration of Brahma's life, and how long what is the lifespan of Bhrigu Maharaj, Bhrigu Rishi, sorry, for how long will the sage Bhrigu enjoy his life duration. And even about Satyaloka, it is being mentioned here in the verse. Even in Satyaloka it is mentioned. So at the end of the Satyaloka, how planes will come and take back the liberated souls. So what do we understand from here is that how important shastras are. So here what we can understand is that how Srila Prabhupada tells Krishna consciousness is science. But what we think that it is just a very random thing, and it does not have any basis, and we are just simply following, it's just a mechanical process, is what usually people tend to tell. Or even we as practicing devotees, we feel after a period of time that the entire process is becoming mechanical. But that is not the thing. Whatever Srila Prabhupada has stated, that is true. That what is Srila Prabhupada stated? Srila Prabhupada has stated that Krishna consciousness is science. So we will see how Shastra is scientific, and it is just not a mechanical or any random belief. So now here we can see there are many, there is everything that is given in Shastras. There is no such specific thing that is not being stated in the Shastras. I was hearing to a lecture, and that why the Prabhu who was giving lecture, he was telling everything is mentioned in Shastra. Whether you want to learn about aeronautics, it is there in Shastras. If you want to learn about astrology, that is mentioned in Shastras. You want to learn about mathematics, or even it could be some skills like dancing, singing, everything is mentioned in Shastras. So even if you want to do karma kanda activities, right, so even that has been mentioned in the Shastras. So if you for example, if you want to have a son, how to beget a very good children, that is mentioned in Shastras. And if you want to satisfy your senses, that is mentioned in Shastras. If you want to go back home, back to Godhead, that is also mentioned in Shastras. So what I'm trying to say is that everything has been mentioned in Shastras. There is nothing that is not mentioned in Shastras. So for example, now recently NASA made a statement telling that how they have designed their planes. So the rockets that they are launching to the outer space, how is it being designed, right? So the NASA has agreed, telling that they've taken it from Shastras. In the Shastras, it is mentioned how planes have to be constructed, how planes have to be manufactured. So the NASA has agreed to take it from Shastras and 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 also the structure of the sand also becomes very tough, and the shape also becomes very uneven. So after all this experiment, they've come to a conclusion that the sound affects the consciousness of a person. So it took such a long time for the university to conduct this test and come to this conclusion. But there is something called as mantra meditation, which is already mentioned in Shastras. And the Shastras tell that when somebody chants the holy name of the Lord, the consciousness of the person slowly changes, and he comes to a Shuddha Sattva platform, and he re-establishes the relationship. This is what Srila Prabhupada has taught us, that why do we chant Hare Krishna? To re-establish our lost relationship. So what we can understand is that now science is telling, stating what sound has an effect on the consciousness of the person. It is mentioned in the Shastras. Acharyas have already told it way back that time itself. So that is how Shastras, everything is been given in the Shastras. So previously how it was that people were using these for brushing their teeth. People were using charcoal and salt and neem. So why was it? Because it was given in the Shastras. Not only that, even Shastras specify how to brush your teeth, in which direction your teeth has to be brushed, and what ingredients have to be used while brushing your teeth. But later, what science did, it came up telling that all these are going to spoil your teeth. It is not going to give you a good dental care. But after a longer period of time, you can see the same science came up telling that you have to use charcoal for brushing your teeth. I remember when I was a very small kid, I think even now the advertisements come up, but I am not aware about it. But in Colgate was a very, renowned brand back then. So it used to come, and I remember it used to come in the television, and they used to come and ask, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೂತ್ಪೇಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪ್ಪಿದೆಯಾ? So why are they asking that? I used to not understand. And when I was discussing with my Prabhu, he told me that it was asked because back then they were using salt to brush their teeth. So they are reinstating the same thing again. So what was back then told by science that it is not good, the same thing is coming again. Why? Because it is mentioned in the Shastras, and Shastras are never outdated. You can see now you have toothpaste with charcoal, you have toothpaste with salt. So why is it? Because back then they were using the same thing. See, Shastras will not revise. For example, Bhagavad Gita. We have heard it so many times. Bhagavad Gita, it is as it is. Prabhupada has named it as Yata Rupa Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It is. There is no revised version of Bhagavad Gita, because Shastras is always authorized. So whatever is once stated in Shastra, that is the final. Like modern day science, it does not get revised each and every time. And even we can see now the science is claiming that they are all civil, I mean, they're all technologically forward, and they can do anything and everything. using science and technology. But we can see that when Kurukshetra battle happened back then itself, Sanjaya was doing live streaming to Dhritarashtra about the yuddha that was happening in Kurukshetra. By the mercy of Srila Vyasadeva, he was able to live stream what was happening. Sitting in Hastinapur, he was able to see what is happening in Kurukshetra, and he was able to narrate it just like that, as it is, to Dhritarashtra. So now people are, now the modern day science is coming up, telling that we are live streaming so many Netflix series and so many things. And even for live streaming this, they need a backup support, that is internet. But back then, Sanjaya was not having any internet or anything of that sort. He was able to live stream it, because that is the power of Shastras. That is the power of Srila Vyasadeva. Because of the mercy of Vyasadeva, he was able to narrate the entire Kurukshetra battle. And now what we are able to see is that in the modern days, people are so proud that they are coming up with the science is gone up to such an extent that they can make a machine for anything and everything. They can have an invention for everything, from having your electronic brushes to making your breakfast, making a phone call. Everything can be done by science, is what they are claiming. But this science, what we are not able to understand is that whatever technology is being made, it is being made by humans, and humans are having four defects in this material world. Any jivatma for that matter, they are having four defects. And the person with these four defects is manufacturing another machine which is also with the defects, right? So we can see they are so proud of coming up with all these machines and everything. So they state that they can create weapons using technology. So we can see how the weapons that they are creating, maybe they're creating weapons and they're targeting a particular area is the target of the weapon. But this weapon, once the weapon is being dropped, or once the weapon is being utilized for causing destruction, it is not only causing destruction for that specific area where they have chosen, but it is affecting the entire country as a whole. So you can see, for example, these atom bombs, they are so proud that they have invented atom bombs, and it is the most dangerous weapon. But you can see the atom bomb does not aim a specific area, but when once the bomb is being dropped, the entire surrounding is being disturbed, and it is entirely completely destroyed. You can even see, even in Hiroshima, Nagasaki, what happened. Entire country of Japan was destroyed. They only aimed a very specific place, but entire country was destroyed. Why? Because the equipment, the weapon is so inefficient. But in the same weapon, that is, you have weapons even in Shastras. For example, Brahmastra, it has the power. The Shastras have the mantras where you can create weapons, and that weapon will only go and kill, or go and destroy your specific target. It will not cause destruction for the entire thing. That is the mantras of that is the power of these mantras, and the same mantras are given in the Shastras. So we know how Brahmastra has the power of going and hitting the target. And the most important thing is that these Brahmastras can even be called back. But in the scientific weapons that are getting created, the weapons that are created out of so-called science, modern day science, once you drop a bomb, it is over. You cannot get it back. The destruction is already caused. But the weapons that they used to create using all these Vedic mantras, it is not like that. So why am I telling all these points is that is what Srila Prabhupada is talking about in today's words. Srila Prabhupada tells that the modern day scientists are conditioned soul, liable to so many errors and mistakes. So it is safe that to accept the Vedic version, the authentic version of Vedic literature like Srimad Bhagavatam, which is accepted unanimously by great acharyas. So what we can see is that is the scientists, Srila Prabhupada is telling that scientists are also not, you know, somebody from a different planet. They are also in material planet, and they are also liable for all these defects. They are also affected by the three modes of material nature. They are also affected by the four defects, and the same people are coming up with an invention. So as I told, it will also result in defect. See, modern day science, it is stating that science has solution for everything. But science does not have solution for Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. It cannot help one to overcome the cycle of birth and death. But whereas you can see the Vedic scriptures, the Shastras, has the power of helping us to overcome the cycle of birth and death. So that is what Krishna conscious is helping us to do. It is helping us to overcome the cycle of birth and death, and go back home, back to Godhead. And why are these shastras so important? What makes the Vedic scriptures so important? So the most simple answer to it is that it is accepted by the great acharyas. Here some of the acharyas are mentioned, like Ramanujacharya, Sridhara Swami, Vallabhacharya. We can even see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also accepted the Shastras. He accepted Srimad Bhagavatam as the Amala Puran. It is a spotless Puran. There is no spot. You cannot tell, oh, this here it is mentioned wrong. Here the description is wrong. No, it has been accepted as perfect and spotless. And whatever acharyas also tell, that also becomes shastras. So I will just I will just narrate a pastime of Srila Prabhupada as to how acharyas tell. What Srila Prabhupada has told, it has never, it has never been wrong. It is authorized, and whatever Srila Prabhupada tells, it is from the Shastras. So that is how it is authorized, because the great acharyas have accepted it. So once what happened, during the time of Prabhupada, they were watching it at back then itself. They were launching, rockets to moon, and they were claiming that they were going to the moon, and they've landed on the moon. So all this was getting played on the television. And Srila Prabhupada also saw the news that they have landed to the moon successfully. And immediately, Srila Prabhupada didn't think nothing. Prabhupada pointed at the television and he told, "This box is lying." And after that, nobody, the disciples were asking, "Prabhupada, they've gone to moon, and now you're telling this box is lying." So after a couple of years, what happened? There was a huge, after many years, there was the same news which had, channels that had published telling that they've landed to the moon successfully. The same news channels, they started to tell landing to moon is impossible, because as per Shastras, if you have to travel to the moon, even if you travel in the speed of the light, it takes many light years. So it is impossible to travel to the moon that at that speed at which they have sent. And even the news channel started telling that they are going to the moon and sending the photos immediately. How is it possible? Even to send back the photos, it will take many light years. So that is when they came to know that they have just set up a they just made a setup as if they're landing to the moon, and the entire thing was a fake. It took many years for these news channels to analyze that what the scientists are telling is bogus, it is a lie. But Srila Prabhupada, immediately looking at the box, he told this box is lie. Why is it? Because acharyas will never tell anything which is out of Shastras, and whatever they are telling is the same thing that is written in Shastras, and that is why Shastras are holding such a huge amount of value. So we can see there are many instances where what is told in Shastras, that what acharyas are telling, that is never, then then that is not something not scientific, or that is not something, it is out of the box. Whatever acharyas are telling, that is Shastra. For example, there was one of the pastimes in Guruvayur. There is one of the pastime that has happened in Guruvayur. So there, once one of the persons from the temple, he was narrating the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So when he was narrating the pastimes, it was written that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, he takes the stone and he breaks the butter pot. That is what is written in the Shastras. That is what is written even in Srimad Bhagavatam. But when he was narrating it, he stated that Krishna takes a flute and he breaks the pot. And then he comes back to Srimad Bhagavatam and he sees that it is mentioned that Krishna is taking a stone and hitting the butter pot. Then he feels very bad because he is narrating something that is not there in the Shastras, and he starts lamenting about it. He feels very bad because it is not given in the Shastras, and how can he narrate something like that? And he feels very bad. And then in that night, when he is feeling like this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Guruvayur himself, Lord Guruvayur, comes in his dream and he tells that, oh my dear devotee, you don't have to feel bad. You've narrated it, and yes, I, for you at least, I will take flute and break the pot. Okay, so I will break the flute either with stone or with flute, just to make your words come true. So why is this being mentioned? It is being mentioned because the pure devotees, the acharyas, are stating it. So just because this devotee of the Lord told that, Lord took the flute and broke the pot, Guruvayur did that to please his devotee. So even we can see, even in Chaitan, even the Shad Goswamis, one of the Goswamis, he writes Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami, he writes telling that Rupa Goswami, I think, no? Rupa Goswami, one of the Shad Goswamis, in Vrindavan, he mentions telling that the hair of Srimati Radharani is like a snake. So when he mentions that, and when one of the other Goswamis, um, in Rupa Goswami or Sanatana Goswami would have written, and when the other person reads, he becomes very astonished. Why is it written? Why is the hair of Srimati Radharani compared to a snake? And he feels very bad because it is snake is something poisonous, and it has so much of envy. So when it was written like that, and then the same book, the commentaries written by one of the Goswami, Jiva Goswami, happens to read it. And when he reads it, what happens? He will think that whatever it is written, it is wrong. You should not compare the hair of this hair of Srimati Radharani to the snake. And then what happens? So he'll be sitting and thinking like this on the banks of Radha Kund. And when he's sitting and contemplating like this, he to his vision, he sees that there are a group of girls and they are playing, okay. And there is one little girl, she's very well decorated, and she has she there is a swing. They've decorated the swing, they've made this girl sit on the swing, and all her girlfriends are swinging this girl. And suddenly Jiva Goswami looks at that girl, and he sees that there is a very thick black snake on her shoulders. He goes and he will try to remove the snake, and it is not coming out. And all these girls will ask her, they'll look at Jiva Goswami and they'll start laughing. But they do not know. Then Jiva Goswami tells, there is a snake, remove it from this girl's shoulder, it may harm her. Then the girlfriends of this little girl, they tell that it is not a snake, it is the hair of the girl, and that girl was Srimati Radha Rani. So why did Radha Rani do this entire pastime? Was to make sure that whatever it is written, no, it is in Shastra. Even now you can see, if you see Gandharvika Giridhari, if you see Gandharvika, the hair of Gandharvika is arranged in form of a snake. Why did Radharani do this pastime? To make sure that whatever acharyas are telling, it is not different from Shastras. So whatever acharyas tell, it becomes Shastras. So that is why here, Srila Prabhupada is telling, rather than accepting the modern science, accept the Vedic scriptures, which are more scientific, and because it is unanimously accepted by the great acharyas. So everything that is being stated by the Shastras, it is scientific, and you can have faith and trust on the Shastras. So that is how much importance the Shastras hold. So these are some of the points from today's words. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Patita Pavan Guru Maharaj ki jai.